We now have a very interesting panel discussion on the topic Recent Innovations in Blister Packaging Technology. It is my honor to invite our moderator, Mr. Ashok Kumar Bhattacharya, former Executive Director at Takeda Pharmaceuticals India Private Limited. Mr. Bhattacharya has about 39 years of experience in global pharmaceutical MNCs as a successful manager in various roles general management, marketing, and sales, and excelling in diverse multicultural environments. Over to you, Mr. Bhattacharya.
Thank you, Ankita. Good morning to all of you, and welcome you to the 9th annual Innopack Pharma Conference. I think we all have been waiting for this event year after year, and this is the 9th year. So it's a great honor and privilege for me to moderate this interesting session. And thanks to Ankita and the UBM group for giving me this opportunity to interact with the learned speaker and also with the learned audience who are present over here. I think it's for the first time that we are having a virtual meeting. But yesterday we had some glimpse of it. It was extremely successful, and it gives me confidence that even today we will make this event a very interesting, invigorating session. You know, this particular discussion, which talks about innovation in blister packaging technology. Why have we taken this? Just a short brief is that the Indian pharmaceutical industry, or even globally, the industry has been more inside looking. And therefore, it was only on drug development and, on commercial aspects. It is very recently that the industry realized that we cannot be just focusing into R&D into isolation. So it's a more holistic thing. And therefore, the packaging has become of prime importance and has become a front seater and no longer a backbencher. I'm extremely happy for that we industry people, we realized that they are not only to carry out what we want, but they provide with innovation, they provide with choices in order to ensure to maintain integrity of the product and to the last level of the consumer, looking at the patient convenience and safety of the product. This varies from product. For oncology product, it's different because the precautionary measures to be taken over there in terms of packaging is extremely high. Similarly, for other oral preparations, one thing which has come to the mind of the industry is how do we avoid contamination and infection within the patient. So there has been a lot of development which has happened in every dosage forms, whether it's injectable, whether it's liquids, whether it's oral solids, whatever. But today we will focus our discussions on the oral solids part, and maybe to some extent where blister packaging is involved in the area of injectables in the form of ampule. So that may be another thing. Without really standing between you, and the panel experts who are there. I would like to now introduce the extreme panel, esteemed panel, highly knowledgeable and well known in the industry and the area of packaging. I start with Ankit Tanna, Director, Printman Group, Somyanath Mishra, Head, Packaging Development, Mankind Research Center, and Mr. Sumit Arora, the Managing Director of Ullman India Private Limited. So this gives us a varied expertise in terms of the local issues, industry issues, what are the new development in the area of packaging in terms of the machinery and other aspects. So I would like to open up the discussion with Sobhyanath. I'm starting with the practical aspects being faced by the industry. So a hands-on experience from Somyanath. So Somyanath, I mean, it would be extremely nice if you can share why Blister Packaging is more dominating packaging system for oral pharmaceutical products.
Thank you, Mr. Bhattacharya, to introduce and seen up the insight of the packaging requirement in the industry. And as you told correctly, packaging is not a backbencher to their scenario. It's really the front bencher because industries really require for the packaging to grow up their industry also. So directly coming to the point, why the blister packaging is predominantly increasing across the globe. See, the more important why packaging is chosen. Packaging material is chosen on the basis of the efficiency and characteristic so that it can preserve the quality, potency, safety of the pharmaceutical product. If you see about the growing of the pharmaceutical product as well as the blister packaging, it's a significant growing 10 to 8 to 10% last year to this year. Now, the why packaging, blister packaging so is important in the industry and so predominantly coming. This is because the important characteristic of the packaging, this variety of packaging material of the blister packaging. So you can choose the blister packaging based on your product. Suppose if your product is less sensitive, if your product is more sensitive, if your product is moderate sensitive, it should be a variety of packaging material. You can use the PVC, you can use the PVC PVDC, you can use the PVC Aclar, you can use the COC. So based on the requirement, even based on the marketing requirement, you can choose the blister packaging. That is not in the possible probably in the other packaging form. Suppose you need to see your product is a see-through, patient should see of your product, then you can go directly to the transparent blister. And if you require your blister not to be that much of sensitive, you can put in the rock stable product. If you consider a rock stable product, you can do the PVC blister only. You should not go in the different product. In case of glass and other product, you have to go in the glass. There is no other option on that. Number two, since there is a variety of packaging material, there is a cost is very important. You can save the cost surely. Third is very important, solid oral dosage form. It's a high productivity. The recent innovation of the Sumit can add in the later on the machinery part. You can very high speed packaging machine is available in the across the globe. You can get many of the productivity of the blister packaging. Probably not the other dosage form in the strip packaging. You cannot get it. This is highly patient compliance, no doubt, because you can push only one blister at a time, like bottle pack, other things, you cannot come the entire bottle packaging. Then temper evident. And last is very important, the outbreak of the COVID-19, there is a trend toward the self-medication and home healthcare, and thus increased demand of the CR pack and the personalized pack and smaller size of the pack. And the clear you need those packs so that patient can carry the blister pack in the pocket. And which should the patient adherence. the blister pack is a perfect combination for all of these important parameters. So these are the few important things. So blister packaging and still predominantly increasing across the globe.
Right, Soumyanath, really thanks for presenting. And also, I feel that the amongst all the formulations which are available, oral solids dominate compared to the
True,
liquid dosage form
true,
or
absolutely,
injectable form.
absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So that has been a very good insight as to why blister packaging is of so important. I think Ankit, it will be nice if you throw some light, subsequent to what Somyanath has mentioned in terms of the variety which is available. What are the latest trends that Printman Group is seeing in blister packaging?
Thank you, Mr. Bhattacharya, for that question. Uh, it's good afternoon to everyone, and it's a pleasure to be part of this panel. Just a line about Printman. We are a 360-degree packaging solution provider, and worked with many clients since inception for not only their supplies but also for their innovations. And we supply cartons, labels, outserts, inserts, and strip packs, alu foil, as well as blister packs. Coming to your question about the recent trends which we are seeing in blister packaging, I have broadly classified them into like four categories. So the first category would be the trends towards anti-counterfeit. We all know it's such a big problem these days. So the anti-counterfeit measures are being adopted by the pharmaceutical companies to basically protect their reputation, protect their brand. So some of the anti-counterfeit measures which are used in blister packs are like 2D barcoding, water marking, holographic stamping. There are also certain covert features like UV sensitive printing and touch sensitive printing and many more. The second category is towards the trends towards sustainability. So we are seeing a trend where we are getting some traction to use water-based heat seal lacquer instead of the traditional solvent-based heat seal lacquers. So this gives a lot of sustainability positive impacts on that. The third category is towards the consumer satisfaction, the consumer user experience. So we are seeing smart packaging come into blister packaging, like use of RFID, use of reminders on mobile apps through some printed electronics in the blister packs. We are seeing those kind of trends at a very nascent stage. And the fourth type of trends, what we are seeing, which come through regulation. So there has been a regulation by the European Union to not have any nitrocellulose product or in the manufacturing process. Each and every part of the blister packaging process has to be nitrocellulose free. So these are some of the trends which we are seeing in blister packaging at the moment. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Ankit, for this brief introduction about the objective which Printman Group is looking at while they are on their way for innovation in providing varieties for blister packaging. That's great. Uh, Sumit, after what Somya and Ankit has mentioned, we have been witnessing a lot of many of these innovations. Now, in the vision-based inspection system, which can identify the physical attributes of a product as such. So, has Unman developed any technology to identify such a rope tablet?
Hi, sir. Thank you very much, Ashok sir, for this question. First of all, good afternoon, everyone, for being part of this very interesting panel. It is indeed a pleasure to be presenting Ulman here. As you all know, Ulman is one of the technology leaders in the blister packaging technology for almost 75 years now. We have a long legacy of nearly 7.5 decades in only one subject, and that is blister. So we dare say that we are one of the technological superpowers as far as the blister technology is concerned. And to answer your question, Ashok sir, yes, the industry is really faced with strange challenges these days, with so many complex molecules and different products people are making today. So a typical packaging hall may be subject to so many changeovers, so many frequent changeovers, that despite the best of efforts, there is a possibility of a rogue product somehow creeping into your production line. By a rogue product, what I mean is a tablet which looks like the last batch. I mean, if you are making a 12 millimeter dia tablet and it is white in color, and incidentally, the next batch also is of 12 millimeter dia and white in color, but it is a different product. So till now, what we are familiar with is technologies which will be capturing the vision-based detection of a product. That means the physical attributes of the product are being detected using high sophisticated camera system, high resolution camera systems, including multiple camera systems nowadays, top bottom, so that you have more exposure of the product in front of the camera. However, detecting a product which is having the same attribute like the last product is being done by a technology which was introduced by Ullman a couple of years back. Actually, it is not a very latest innovation. I wanted to touch this because this is still yet to catch up in India. Although many of the developed countries are already using it, this is very relevant for India because we are typically a contract manufacturing country where we see a very high number of changeovers in our country. So products which look the same are basically detected by online photospectrometry of every product. So like you are using a camera system, so instead of a camera system, it is a vision plus an NIR, near infrared system. Infrared beam is subject on the tablet. In fact, if you allow me to just show a small slide, so that will give you a complete idea that how does this look like, or how does this work. So if you can screen my screen, so there is a transmitter which will be subjecting infrared rays on the product, and on the reflection basis of that, we get a spectrometry of the reflection, and from that we are basically able to pinpoint this is how the equipment looks like, and this is using the fingerprint of the chemical fingerprint of the product. We are basically able to identify a rogue product which somehow creeps into the batch. So this is how you are basically using a in technological know-how. We are able to detect, identify, and segregate a rogue tablet or a rogue product which has a similar physical attributes as a okay product. Back to you, Ashok sir.
That's great, Sumit. I mean, a great learning for us that with the technological advancements, which can ensure a better safety and ensuring that the right product is being packed. So
Yes.
there is no product mix. I agree with you that there has been a product mix issues, and that can cost life of a patient. So I think
Absolutely.
it's a wonderful technology to really get in and ensure that we maintain the integrity and ensure that no cross matching of product
Absolutely.
is there. That's great.
That's the idea. Yeah.
So, I mean, with all this, Somyanath, you're more like, the person on the shop floor type. And one of the great companies you're working for as in the research department for packaging development. What are the issues that really you are facing today in terms of blister packaging, or the shift from other aluminum foil packaging? Of course, very few other than aspirin and all. But what are the issues that you are facing, and where do you see the blister packaging really going forward? Because mankind has got tremendous amount of blister packaging products.
Mishra sir, unmute yourself. Mishra sir, unmute
Unmute
yourself.
yourself, please.
You're on mute, Mishra sir.
Yeah, this is excellent question has been asked, Mr. Bhattacharya, because since I'm in the R&D and working in the various dosage form and the various kind of drug product, even I'm sticking on the basically solid oral dosage form. So the issue of the blister packaging machine is really the one thing. There is a limitation of the barrier property. So if you see the today's scenario, the most of the molecule is not in the protein, that is a rock stable molecule. See, if you see the molecule basically is a highly complex molecule, and they need a high barrier on that with respect to the moisture, with respect to the oxygen, with respect to the in the even also light also. So if we take the traditional blister packaging, like people is always considered the blister packaging only the PVC, PVDC. So if you only construct your these things, the PVC, PVDC, then you are in the gone, because most of the product today's scenario complex molecule is not at all stable in the PVC, PVDC, because the property itself in the PVC, PVDC is not in the good barrier property. So the selecting of the packaging material for the blister packaging machine, it is the really challenging for the packaging technology. What kind of packaging material you will be select from these from the drug product, especially from the solid oral dosage, it's very important. Okay, then you need to know, you need to beyond the boundary. As a packaging man, don't think my role is to only find out the what is the packaging material. Yes, formulation team is asking, give me the packaging material, I'll give the PVC, PVDC blister pack, because they know only PVC, PVDC blister pack. So you have to go to the beyond the boundary. You have to think about what is the composition of the drug product, what is the basic characteristic, what is the basic excipient is there inside the drug product, which is really sensitive to moisture. Probably it will not give you the 1 month or 2 month stability study, it will not give the correct picture. Even in the India, sometimes they do not do the stability study also, they directly put out the blister, go to the market. But even the regulatory market, advanced regulatory market, you have to go the stringent stability study with the 6 month stability study. So selecting of the packaging material, because blister packaging has a due to the cost and other aspect, there is a limitation to selecting the packaging material. So people, what happened, this is the last resort, strip pack or alu pack. If they do not understand anything of the characteristics of the, yes, it put in the alu pack, the product will be stable. But in this process, what you are doing, you are doing the over packaging of these things. You may not require that much of packaging requirement. You do not require, the cost will be increased, your handling procedure is increased, productivity will be increased. So you need to think about the real blister packaging material, as well as the machine, as well as the real cavity, what is the cavity requirement, what is the geometry of this blister pack change part, what is the cost through contamination, what is the gap between the two blister, what is the distance between last stage to stage, the all will contribute in your stability. This is the first important thing. The problem, there is no other problem in the blister packaging so far, because blister packaging has a huge advantage than any other pack. Second part, I'll tell you the what is the innovation part. This is the small thing about the blister packaging.
Okay. Soumya, another, coming from there, how do you choose whether you need to go for a alu pack or you want to go for a blister pack, whether you want to go for a white blister or a colored blister? What really leads to choose a blister compared to a strip or alu?
Absolutely, get that. Nice question to you. So, as per the different companies, different approach to the selecting of the packaging material. What is my approach? What is the mankind approach? I little bit I'll tell you. See what I do. I do the open pen study. So taking the first of all, I consult with the formulation team. What is your product? What is you have all the characteristic? What is the excipient? Then I study through the net and their product review, whether any sensitive molecule inside or not. Then I make a brief discussion with them. These are the probable causes from the deterioration of your product. So I understand from the study, research, and the product characteristics that what is there the product is the moisture sensitive, Is there is a product with the light sensitive? Is there is a product with the oxygen sensitive? The next part to steaming out the things, I do the open pan study. What is the open pan study? Nothing take. I took the tablet and I put in the open pan in the 40-70 degree temperature in the chamber. And after 6-7 days, I see what any changes on that. If there is a rock stable product, frankly speaking, there is a no change in the blister color, there is a no hardness, no fragility, anything like that. If really there is a sensitive molecule, there will be a sticking on that, their coating will be gone up, there is a potency will be reduced, hardness will be reduced. All this you can understand. Getting all this data, making on a list, you can select the correct packaging material based on the WBTR and OTR of the blister packaging material.
Okay. So, Soumya, following this, another question is for discussion is how often do you think of change in packaging for your existing products from one form to another?
I'll tell. That is one more question. Good question. See, what will happen in the industry? The practical approach, I'll tell you. So once the launching time, see, management has a purview of thinking that okay, I don't want to take some the risk on that. Put in the alu pack first. Let's see what will happen then. Once the brand is established, so then this continuous pressure comes from the management. Can I reduce the packaging cost on that? Can you do something on that? Can you work on that? So then the question, this ball is directly goes to the packaging development team. Is there any probability to reduce the cost on that? Because my productivity is very less in the alu packaging, my cost is increasing on that, and there is a many excuses, I can say. It's excuses from the management team. We have to reduce the cost because they cannot do that much of the product cost. And packaging is the low hanging fruits always for the management, because they thought it is only a way to reduce the cost. Although this scenario has been changed completely to this scenario, but still it is predominantly in India to reduce the cost in the packaging part. Suppose you say alu, again, it's come to me to study the product aspect. Probably it's a 3 years, 4 years back, it was chosen for the alu pack, but now you have to think about what is the characteristics. Then the repeat process I have to do to changing the packaging material.
Okay. Thanks, Soumya. Ankit, I was very eager, and I think the audience also will be extremely eager to know what is this NC-free blister packaging, and when do you think a qualified solution will be available for this?
So, Ashok's a very relevant question. Since the past 1 year, all we've been hearing is, क्या आपके blister में NC है? So, I think on a serious note, as I mentioned earlier, NC-free blister has come from a European Union regulation where they have found nitrosamines in the final product. So, let me give you what happens is during the sealing or after the sealing in the final product, there are some nitrosamines. How they are formed is, as per some research by European Medical Agency, that the nitrocellulose in the primer which you use gets reacted with the amines in the inks, and then nitrosamines are formed. Now the problem is with these nitrosamines, they are carcinogenic to human cells. So it's a big risk for the final consumer. So the solution to this is to have nitrocellulose free manufacturing process of blisters. So with a lot of discussions and help from our partners, our clients, as well as our suppliers in our entire supply chain, what we've been able to be successful in is give samples which are completely NC free. By that I mean NC free inks, primer, as well as overcoat. So we have gone ahead and printed as much as 4 colors on this so that it could be efficient across the products. So this is at a stage where we have given the samples to our pharmaceutical partners, testings are going on, and the feedback has been very positive. I am pretty optimistic about this development, that in the future, if this is the case, then I think all the products will shift to nitrocellulose free in blister packaging. Another point where you can do nitrocellulose free blister packaging is by using water based inks and water based coat, which is right now at a very, very nascent stage in India in terms of development. So I don't want to overcome it, but it is definitely one of the options to also be nitrocellulose free. So yeah, that's just a brief about NC free blister pack.
Thanks, Ankit, for throwing light, because this has become one of the most controversial things in the recent times when the European Union and US have banned globally few products with this. So thanks for throwing light on and enlightening us on this aspect. Okay. Sumit, after hearing to what Somia has mentioned, what Ankit has mentioned, what comes to my mind is, with the focus on high productivity equipment, which also must be flexible to accommodate a wide product mix, innovative product facing systems are the need of industry. How is Ullman being responding to these demands?
Thank you again, Ashok sir. Yes, indeed. Just a few minutes back, we heard from Soumya that there's a very wide range of products that mankind is packing, and every time they are designing on packaging styles, they think of poor people like us as well, because sometimes some decisions of designing a blister pack is also thought of. Earlier, it was not the case. I mean, as you rightly said in the opening statement itself, that packaging is no longer a backbencher now for the industry. People are thinking of the challenges, because it is not only a form of just mere packing. It has to be cost effective. It has to be, in fact, not only ergonomics, ease to use, aesthetic appeal also today is something which also, I remember doing a project where a customer typically wanted all the capsules should be aligned in a way where bodies are all top and caps are all bottom, so it looks like a very beautiful blister. When imagine all the red and whites, the reds are on one side and the whites are on the other side. So that brings to a question that the feeding, the tablet feeding, all of us know that the blister technology principally remains the same, that is the forming of the cavity, product feeding, sealing and punching. So these are basically the four basic functions of a blister machine, where you are basically creating a cavity first, then you are feeding the product, then you are sealing with the leading foil, and then you are punching out the blister from the formed web. And one of the most important factors which becomes a bottleneck in the entire ecosystem is the feeding of the products, because today the products are so huge and varied. You could be packing very small tablets of 3 millimeter to tablets which are 22 millimeters in size, coated products, uncoated products, entry coated products, dusty products, products which cannot be packed by any simple way. So it becomes such a big challenge for a machine manufacturer to satisfy, and you can't be investing on equipment every time. So what the industry coped up and responded by saying that you could have different feeding systems for different types or different families of products. Like coated products are basically fed by, if it is a round tablet, you round convex, you would be using a brush box, which is also called as universal feeding system, because brush box is just spreading the product over a formed cavity, and the brushes do the job of settling the product inside the web. And at the same time, there are complex shapes, like we have the DS tablets, etc., which would need specific feeding systems. So in the environment where you are required to produce certain X number of blisters, you simply don't have the luxury of giving away 3 hours, 4 hours of changing a feeding system also, because you are so hard pressed against time. So the industry demands to provide equipment which is more flexible, which could handle a small 3 millimeter tablet as well as 22 millimeter DS tablet without much of time
Mm.
wastage between a product changeover. So that's where Ullman rose to the occasion, and we have now feeders which are basically compatible from. I'll once again use the opportunity to share my screen so that we see what are we talking about. So this is typically how a brush box feeding system looks like, where we have series of horizontal and vertical brushes which will be spreading the tablet over a formed web. And then this is a ultra high sophisticated sim tap, which is a patented technology of Pullman, which is called simultaneous placement of the product. That means simultaneous tablets are placed it by individual tubes. Each product is being fed into the cavity. This is for complex shapes which cannot be just fed by a brush box or something. So now if you have to have both these feeding system, a brush box as well as a dedicated feeding system, it takes some time to remove one feeding system and bring the other one and put it. So both of them have been merged together, and that's how we responded to this challenge, that by changing only the last part of the which is the dispensing area, which is actually delivering the product into the cavity, by changing only that, you can make a feeding system compatible for a brush box as well as a dedicated feeding system. So imagine the kind of time that is saved between one product to the other product. One a 22 millimeter tablet, DS tablet long, and the other is a 3 millimeter small, or a 4 millimeter, 5 millimeter small tablet. So it becomes very easy and very fast to change over. So this is what has been done by Ullman in the recent time to respond to this. In fact, this has been launched in this year itself, where we have brought the best of two worlds together in one feeding system. So I'm sure Mishraji is going to like this very soon. And
Excellent, excellent.
so this is something which industry had been asking for, more
Correct.
flexible as well as faster. So that's what we have given the
Absolutely.
world.
Thanks, Sumit, for enlightening about this development, which Ullman offers towards that. Let me express that there is a great interest which has been in the minds of the audience, and let's address a few of them. So, the thing which is coming up is what is changing in terms of materials for blister packaging towards sustainable, eco-friendly packaging solutions. So, who would like to take? Somya, you want to take it?
Ankit, you start, then I'll continue with this thing.
Okay,
Smoothly.
Ankit.
Yeah.
Uh,
Sir, I spoke about it in the trends,
yeah.
but as I said, I don't want to overcome it. We are in process of testing water-based heat seal lacquer, which is going to have major positive impacts in terms of sustainability compared to a solvent-based or any other resin-based, heat seal lacquers. So that could be because that is the part which gets sealed to the PVC, PVDC. So even in terms of it being water-based, yes, that is one sustainability thing which is coming up. Other than that, I told you because of the regulation, and also if I'm not wrong, uh, we print predominantly in gravure in India, the blister aluminum, and in Europe it's more of flexo. So there could be an opportunity to use water-based inks and water-based coatings on blister for printing of blisters rather than right now which we are using other types of inks which are not very sustainable. Yes, Mr. Mishra, if you
So,
could
Yeah.
like to add
yeah,
something there.
maybe
See,
maybe to address the other part, Somya, is
hmm,
about the nature friendly or eco
yeah.
friendly or green packaging, what we
Yeah.
call really
So,
solutions
so,
which are there.
see, Mr. Bhattacharya, so the first of global is thinking to removing the PVC. PVC is a basically carcinogenic material across the world. If it's Japanese, you might be knowing very well, they do not use the PVC because they completely removing the PVC, PP, polypropylene. So this recent trends is all across the globe to removing the PVC using polyester based film. Okay, and and secondly, people are thinking for the homogeneous packaging material, not the heterogeneous packaging material. Now it was PVC, PE, PVDC, polyethylene. People are thinking to new development of the polyester based, PEP based packaging materials, all these things. Even nylon based packaging material, polyester based, paper based packaging material. Even they are thinking about the removing the aluminum foil with the high barrier of the paper with the coated with the high barrier packaging material so that they can replacing the aluminum foil also. Okay, and now this thinking of the real of the biodegradable packaging material. Yes, we are working of the two US company, but I cannot tell in this moment. We are working on the US company to forming material from the biodegradable packaging material. Probably in the next year middle, we can take a trial on that biodegradable packaging material, and we can introduce for our product.
I would also
Thanks,
like to
Somya.
add
I
here, sir.
think this also really addresses that apart from PVDC and alu, which material is most preferred today?
See both. If you see PVDC and if a conventional packaging, if you say for the alu and PVDC, both cases is the PVC is there. The advantage where you need a robust package, it's a highly sensitive. It's a amoxicillin, amoxiclab. It's a highly moisture sensitive. So as a polymeric material thermoforming, please there is a certain constant on that. They not the 100% barrier because it's a polymeric film. So you have to have go the alu packaging matter. There is no other scope on that. But where if you understand the packaging material product itself not a sensitive. So you unnecessary, you should not go for the alu pack. You have a many option on that to go even PVC to PVC, PVDC and different gamage form.
Okay, okay. The other question, Somya, is that when you mentioned that you expose the product at condition of 40 to 75 degree like that, what will be the reason of failing in stability in accelerated stability studies at
See,
these high temperatures?
accelerated stability study, some of the even also if you are selecting the correct packaging material, so there is a why it is sometimes it's become fail in the stability study because there is a two reason. Suppose in the PVC blister there is a one part of the aluminum foil and another is a PVC thermoforming part. The aluminum foil is a useless if there is a pinholes. If there is a pinholes, this is useless. There is a no use on that. Also, it seems that it's aluminum foil, but it is the use of pinholes. There is a high percentage of moisture is in getting that. Your product will be gone. Even in the case of PVC, PVDC, if there is a not improper sealing, then your stability is gone. If there is a very small gap between the sealing and the cavity, then there is a chance of failing the stability study. And there is a chance of cross migration, all these things. There is a many factor on the stability study, not only one factor on that.
That's great. That's great, Somya. Ankit, the thing is it possible to print images gradient on aluminum foil? And if it is so, what about the print quality? Can it match with the original images after using base color as white?
So in terms of my experience, we have already printed couple of products when we have used base color as white. And the other part of the question, and it's been successful, it was a very complex job where there were shadows and little bit of gradient. In terms of gradient, we have printed certain colors which are in gradient. So there is like a blue, there is a red, and then there is a third color which gets printed in a gradient form. So it is possible. It is definitely possible, and we've been successful in having at least 3 to 4 products in our kitty to print with that technology. So yes, that would be a yes.
Okay. Uh, can we, Ankit, prevent printing matter smudging without NC coating?
Sir, it's something which has been sort of going on since ages. By NC nahi hoga to smudging aega. So it's if NC is not going to be there, there will be smudging. Um, so it depends on you're sealing it at 170, 180 degrees. So even as we would always recommend to have NC coat to prevent any kind of smudging. Uh, yeah, I think it's still very far off that we do it without NC free.
Mhm. Okay.
That's my personal opinion. I would love to be
But
enlightened by Mr. Mishra.
are there any global efforts being taken in this front in the Western
Sir,
markets or
I'm
the European market?
yeah, Mr. Mishra, would you like to
Yeah,
like
yeah,
add
yeah.
something here?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. This is really is working. I do not know European company because most of the time I talking about the US company. So we are working in the US company, as you told Ankit previously, the water-based kind of coating on that. So
Right, sir.
one US company and one European is a German-based company is really 80% successful to replacing the nitrocellulose to
Right,
water-based
sir.
coating, and it is a highly heat resistance. So
Right,
even also you do the 180 and 200-degree temperature, there is no chance of the ink damage on that. And
Hmm.
probably I can assure you within a couple of month, maybe the 7 8 month, maybe the cost I am the latter part, but if there is a solution on that, people are working on that. That's not be very tough job for the people on that.
Okay.
I just to add to that, I think I just said previously as well that Flexo as a technology has to develop to print
Yeah.
foil. So there a lot of options of
Yes. Correct.
coating,
Correct. Correct.
like
Correct.
if that technology is adopted for printing aluminium foil, we could have a lot of solutions coming into by
Yes.
using
Yes.
just one technology.
Ankit, you are absolutely right, because people where is a nitrocellulose problem, people are going to the flexo packaging to removing this kind of gravier, to remove the gravier technology to flexo technology. And people are doing, or many people are doing to the flexo. The problem is that 90% of the company in India, converter company with the gravier printing. So they don't want to easily replace this gravier technology entire setup on that. So the new
Yeah.
companies, they are coming with the solution of the both Flexo and the Gravia. So probably that couple of things can be happen in the near future. We can solve the problem.
So Printman prints self-adhesive labels on Flexo technology. So we have
Yeah.
that advantage of having that technology in-house, where
Yes.
then
Yes.
we can sort of cross-function and even print
Uh,
blister in
uh,
Flexo.
Ankit, just an example for you. So for the ophthalmic product, this that is semi-permeable packaging
Yes,
material.
sir.
You
Yes, sir.
need a low migration ink and adhesives. Okay, you
We are
need a
doing
low
that, sir.
migration
We are
ink and
doing that.
adhesive, because there is a highly chance of the ink can be migrate toward the polyethylene material to the product. You get the impurities on that and then impurities, and there will come the extractable, leachable study. You will get these things.
Right,
But
sir.
there
Right.
is a many that there is many ink which is water-based ink is the low migration of ink, and the
Yeah.
European, that is compliance, the European compliance, which is called low
Hmm.
migration. They are
Yeah.
printing on the flexographic, so
Yeah.
you can solve
Yes.
the problem on that.
We are doing that for labels, sir. So we are aware of that
Yeah,
technology. It
yeah.
just has to be replicated to aluminium foil.
Aluminum foil, right. Even I can tell you, near future, aluminum foil will be replaced. There is a many material is coming. The only advantage is the push-through technology for the
Yeah.
aluminum foil, dead foil property. So if we come
Yeah.
out to the push-through technology somewhere, because the aluminum will be replaced global packaging, because this type you are packaging only PVC, there is a no barrier, and opposite side you are putting the aluminum foil with the highest barrier. There is a completely
Yeah.
contradictory on this thing. Okay,
Right,
the
sir.
PVC barrier property is 3.4, and whereas aluminum barrier property is 0.0. Okay, so
Yeah.
there's a completely contradictory both the spam. So you have to thinking of the remove the aluminum foil when the product is a PVC or PVDC.
Thanks for I think it has been a good discussion on this. What really provokes me and also the audience is that what is the type of innovation which is happening in our country, and is it really becoming acceptable, or are we followers, or are we also leaders into the packaging front? So yeah, Somya.
Uh,
You continue, then I'll conclude on that.
Sir, this point is something which I feel very strongly about. I would not like to comment whether we are followers or what, but one thing which is what is unfortunately happening in India is that everyone is trying to innovate in their own way. So there is me who's trying to innovate. There is a machine manufacturer who's trying to innovate. What is missing is the focal point of innovation towards the final consumer. And I mean not the pharmaceutical company, but the user of the final consumer. And that could only happen if the machine manufacturer, the packaging solution provider, and the pharmaceutical company, they collaborate and come up with an innovation together. That would really benefit the final consumer using the product, and that could create like disruptive technologies which would be like a game changer. So this is just my overall thought process about it, but I would love to hear from what the other panelists would like to say also.
Uh, it's a very small, I'll tell you very, very briefly, 2-3 points I can emphasize on that. See, the Indian development part, yes, it's really going on, no doubt in that. If you tell about only the domestic part, I'll tell you later. But since India is the global generic house, because 70% or 65% product in the pharmaceutical product we supply across the globe, including US, Europe. We maintain the really excellent standard for the packaging. Similarly, no doubt on the product. We maintain both the product as well as the packaging, because it's a regulatory requirement across the globe. It's a need-based development. Frankly speaking, why we have done it? Because the development is required from the regulatory point of view and the need-based development. Now, what is happening in the India, even also today's scenario, people are thinking, pharmaceutical companies have traditionally focused on more product development and competitive advantage compared to the packaging, which is reviewed on the more functional strategy. Only what it should be the role of the packaging should be, it should contain the packaging. Okay, even I have seen many products, it is so small blister, you cannot read the product name also. You cannot read the product name also. So as Ankit say, is consumer, yes, we are also responsible for that. We don't demand for the good packaging. Government also responsible for that. We don't put the more stringent rules for that. Even the drug manufacturer also responsible for that. They always focused on the cost, and they constant on the packaging is the content of the product. So to overcome this issue, and really global and India also changing significantly. If you see in the market, many companies, as Ankit is say, the development is the company specific. Some companies thought, yes, we should do it. It's not coming from the government or the consumer end or we or me, because we don't want. Even to avoid the counterfeiting, my company put a 2D code. I am the employee of the company. I don't also scan my code also, because I don't think it's a required. It's maybe the counterfeiting product also. So we all in the responsible for that. Number one, we don't complain on the government also. This is the bad packaging. We should do all these things. So now I think strong regulatory guidelines should be given for the all pharmaceutical organization, and to be compliant, to be restrict on that. Otherwise, there will be punishment on that. And last but not the least, yes, we are developing, but very slow. It's very small, I can say.
Agree. The other thing is, which counterfeiter technology on the foil is most foolproof and cannot be copied? And along with it is, what are the current commercially viable solution for counterfeits in blister packing? So it's basically on the counterfeit issue.
Sir, I already gave a
any of us can answer this.
Yeah, Ankit.
Is that a question?
Mr. Arora, would you want?
No, you start first, then I'll take it up.
Yeah, so I spoke about the various counterfeiting measures which are already like available. So there are obviously overt features like a 2D code, which Mr. Mishra just spoke about. There is foil, there is the stamping which happens through holographic. Then there are covert features like UV sensible ink, which you can only see through. But the real question is, how many of this is getting educated to the final consumer. I, as a packaging solution provider, I can give you all of these features. It's a thing. They are doing it. Pharmaceutical companies are doing it for their brand protection. But I think rather than the ad of the product, there has to be an ad of the security feature, that this is my security feature. Then the security feature, whether which is the most viable, which is the most useful, which is the one which is being most widely accepted, we can get data about that. Till then, it is all going to be a thing where we say, let's do it, but then where is the feedback from the thing? So that's my opinion. All of these options are already available and they are possible at by Printman. But I think Mr. Mishra and Mr. Arora can talk about the other
Sure.
market dynamics which I
Yeah.
just hinted upon.
Sumit, maybe
Now,
if you can throw some light.
in terms of technology, sir, there are many things which are already available as far as the blister printing is concerned. Because, as we discussed a few minutes ago, that packaging itself is seeing a sea of change. And I had my two pennies to put on the table with respect to innovation in India. I would say that innovation in India is also happening, and though it may not be visible because there are silos of excellence that are happening. I have known of several films manufacturer who have already introduced things like a lens embedded in the film itself. That lens is coming on top of the cavity. I mean, you are seeing a product maybe 3 times x what the real size is. Holograms
Yes.
inside the films, that has already been innovated, which is not heard anywhere in the world. uh, so this is how things have already started happening. I mean, there are things that are already happening in the in the Indian context as well, as far as the innovations is concerned. Coming to the printing technology, that also is a part of the same innovative bandwagon which is already there. When in printing, you have already come across seeing individual tablets. That means individual cavities having its own 2D code. So unique code which have come only on the cavity, individual cavity. Of course, we are already aware of HAPA printers sitting on top of the leading material, which is already there. And of course, even in technologies which are like talking of printing after the sealing, which is something which not many people can do. Of course, Ullman was one of the leaders in this technology, where you would be printing the reason of a rejection. That means if you are doing a printing online of a blister, so you will be printing the reason if there's a blister which is rejected. So at the end of the batch, you have say 100,000 blisters packed and 22 blisters which are there in the reject bin. So that should collaborate in the bin as well as on the screen. And each of the blister says, I have been rejected because of this reason. And you can also do a skip printing. That means the system is so intelligent in printing that it could skip the batch coding on that particular blister if the fault has been diagnosed before that. So you understand. So you could also have a much higher I mean, it's called 100% good product philosophy. So whatever is a product that is coming out of the equipment has a correct print. It will not happen that any blister which has been rejected because of any reason is printed. So you are printing after sealing. So everything has happened and then you are printing. So technology has given really many new avenues in printing also. So like printing of individual cavities, printing after sealing, all these things which are not heard of even in many developed I mean so-called developed companies. These are things which are catching up, that printing after sealing. So earlier it was all leading foil, we are known of only printing before sealing. So now printing after sealing is also happening. So such things. Maybe Soumya can add more
So
on printing.
thanks, Sumit, for putting forth these innovative ideas. I think it's time. I mean, everything has to come to a close, and I think the audience will also have lot many questions because of the excitement that all three of you have created in the minds. I mean, believe me, as a managing director, I even knew that so much is happening in the technology world as far as the packaging is concerned. I would like to conclude now in terms of leaving some food for thought for the entire packaging fraternity. It is not only, I mean, it's the printing on the machinery, on everything. I would like to put some food for thought. One is that, we need to be more preemptive rather than reactive. I think what is happening in the pharmaceutical world is when the regulator asks us, then we start building on something, rather than we be ready and make the regulator accept what we feel is a superior technology. So make the regulator being more there. The second thing is also that, we should not be pushed. Like Somya mentioned, like we launched the product in Alu, then go for cost and this and that. I think, whatever we have heard today, the entire packaging fraternity should really occupy the front bench, and in the executive committee meetings, at times the packaging fraternity should place before the top management of an organization, where the finance, where the managing director, the commercial head, the legal head, everybody sits, and we need to put forth these new ideas and ensure that we don't lag behind. We need to put forth that the packaging is there in order to ensure patient safety, product integrity, easy transportation, all these things which are there. We need to be, as you mentioned rightly, Ankit, I personally feel is the Indian packaging industry should be more collaborative. The machine ones, manufacturers, the printers, the pharmaceutical company, R&D, everybody should collaborate in order to give the best possible product, but keeping in mind the cost effectiveness of the product. Remember that we live in a country which is maximum rural. Now we talk of lot of technology of QR code and all these, a mobile app being used. But what we need to keep in mind while we innovate is those rural people, the n number of illiterate people, where we should ensure they should get the right product at the right time at the right place. And therefore, we cannot go with the just fad that it's technology which will only do. But can we do something in order to, the one of the things which came, that how can we avoid the what I say is, uh, no copy product is available in the rural market. Because if you look at in the metros, it may be less, but counterfeit products in the rural areas are very high. So can we keep that in mind and provide a solution to every senior management in the organization, that this is what will ensure a brand equity, a corporate equity. So with this, I really come to an end. I thank the learned audience who has been there, excellent in terms of certain questions, which we have tried to cover during this course of discussion. And I sincerely thank Ankit, Somya, and Sumit for a wonderful discussion and real insightfulness and being informative on the innovations happening. Last but not the least, I would sincerely thank UBM for hosting this conference, and also for this topic, which is very, very relevant in the world of pharmaceuticals. So thank you very much. I wish you all a good day and in interesting sessions which are to follow now. Stay safe, stay healthy. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks
Thank you very
a
much.
thanks a lot.
everyone. It was an honor to have this great session, an informative one. I'm sure the audience have taken the full advantage of it, and I am glad that you were able to make this time for us. And once again, heartiest thanks. And as it's been said, please stay safe and have a great day ahead. Thank you once again, all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.